come on. You flippin'... Yeah, now you work. Okay. Let's see if anybody's actually watching. It's been over a week. People probably thought I've died. Probably lost half my subscribers. Let's see. And there's human beings on the internet. Who would have thought? Everybody? Yes, looks like I didn't die this time. Thank goodness. Okay, just clean up. I have been working throughout the whole period. I just haven't really had a chance to, get into the YouTube streaming. I've been trying to be a mature, responsible business owner and not carry on like a child on the internet and just doing all the internet webby stuff. But here I am. Looks like I'm regressing again back to childhood status and I'm going to do my videos again. So what do we got? We got a 1278 that we have worked on before. This is the one that had the temperature lockout, the thermal trip, and it was working fine for a few days, and well, what do you know, it stopped working, so it's back on the workshop. This is why I do testing for several days, because it always seems to, the number of bounces are actually picking up a little bit lately, and a lot of that reason is because we're getting equipment that's older and people are just got multiple problems, or they don't realize it's a secondary problem. And so it's no longer the days of it was a blown fuse or it was a bad backlight driver or it was a bad clock or anything like that. Instead, it's just, there's a bit here that's wrong, a bit there. Yeah, kind of like humans when we get older. Hey, Travis, Mark, Jaden, Barry, Andrew, Ed, Pedro, Barry, Greg. Wait, I already said whoever I'm missing as well. I just got to get a flicker out of the cameras, so just don't mind me a moment. I've reset this whole computer a couple of times over. Oh, I fell down a hole. It's just a hole of responsibility. Sometimes you just gotta put things aside and, put your, put your nose to the grind wheel. Let's see, what am I after? Power line frequency. Ugh. Let's see, 1, 2, 0. Oh, come on. Power line frequency. Maybe I got the wrong video. Yeah, I should have done all this before I... No, that's the right one. Okay, brightness is fine. Gain... I gotta stop messing with this stuff. Exposure auto, let's turn that off. Exposure auto... 0. Who knows? Ah, Barry, thank you. Yes, for the grinding wheel, new grinding wheel. Yeah. Alright, let's get this thing apart. I've had some successes, but overall it's been a comparatively crappy week. This is my third bounce for the week, and they're all older machines. They're all. It's basically we're at the point where anything pre 2012 is starting to reliably bounce. So I may get to the point where I have to just start declining pre 2012 jobs. Focus are good. Yeah, it'd be nice to me to get my backside into gear and sort out a few more things in terms of the yard and the house, but yeah, to make their lives a bit better. But overall, no, their kids are good. Milo's doing well, is once again attacking me at 4:30 in the morning because he wants some biscuits. So he does the great claws extended dive under the duvet, which wakes me up with a hell of a start. Camera is hunting, alright. Goodwill hunting. Let's turn off the focus auto. Okay, let's see if that stops it. Yep, that stops it. Yeah, Corey, it's... Yeah, I'm not winning, I'm losing now. More 2012 and older, they're coming back too often now, so as much as I would like to fix that sort of stuff, because, you know, it's easy enough to fix it. How did what? Seriously, was that the problem the whole time? The fan wasn't spinning? Surely not. No, I think that must have been another problem. A non-spinning fan would not be the sort of thing to cause this issue that I'm experiencing. The issue that I'm experiencing is that I try to plug into MagSafe and it just reboots multiple times. It's rather peculiar, and I feel like I've got an old man white hair in my eye at the moment. I can see it. Hey, Paulie Lewis. Hey, AJ. I got that hair. I'm gonna get you. Ah, gee, one of multiple millions. There we go. Right, if Alita's watching that, she'll now come and scream at me. Don't pull your hair out. And I've converted all my Mac testing boot sticks over to these SanDisk Duos. I'm really enjoying them. And the nice thing is, even though it looks like a fairly fat USB-C side, the fact that you can just flip it either way means you can fit it no matter which way you go, so it's very handy. And they seem to be quick enough for the job at hand. Option. Okay, let's see how we go. Right, this is a bit of a problem though with the adapter here, is that I can't get a proper... Well, that's a little bit annoying. Nah. Yeah, if the jack was maybe a right angle or shorter, I don't know. It's they probably can't do much about this length, but certainly this here you could perhaps do a 90 degree or something. But it is a bit of a problem if you're trying to test with the machine upright like this and you're trying to fit in. Damn. Plug that in. I know the hard drive wasn't connected. Did I tell Jim? No, I haven't actually. See, I haven't been out of it that long, I've forgotten. tell him now. Hey, Zentech Combat English. He's probably asleep though, you realise. Yeah, look at this. We're running at 1 amp. And mind you, that's probably battery charge. Let's see. Oh, look, the tax office is messaging me. Paul, you haven't submitted your tax. I say, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Jim, I'm streaming. Full stop. Yeah, okay, so we don't have a boot here. Do we actually have any activity? We'll get our chipmunk. Very handy to have the chipmunk. Lets us know if there is actually anything at all going on. It would be circumvented if these USB sticks had a LED on them, but yeah, that's 10 cents too much. Yeah, I got it, Pedro. I've got to do the ATO. I'm well overdue already, so what's going on? Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here. I've just noticed the front doesn't even power up properly now. Flip me. And I've got the money to pay the ATO, but I just got to do the paperwork. And some of the complication in the paperwork is due to the fact that FlexBoardView sales are done in US dollars, but obviously all my taxes are done in Australian dollars. But where the complication really comes in is the fact that I'm not exactly sure when I declare that I've earned that income, in the sense of, while it sits outside of my bank account in the merchant account that does the transactions for me, in this case PayPal, it's sitting in US dollars and I haven't actually got it in Australia, and therefore I sort of haven't earned it. And the exchange rate is, of course, waxing and waning. Currently waxing a little bit too much. Please, can we have it below 65 again? So in my opinion, I feel like I shouldn't declare it until I've actually bought the money in or used the money, and then at that point the exchange rate comes into play, and therefore that is when you say I have earned this many Australian dollars. Combat Wombat, your PC 3000 arrived. What are you getting PC 3000? Seriously? Any 555, hello? So yeah, it's a little bit complicated, and I unfortunately didn't think about it until a little bit too late. And so now I suspect I've got a couple of hundred transactions to go back through and adjust accordingly, because unfortunately PayPal does not do spontaneous conversion. It doesn't list the spontaneous conversion at the time when you earn that money, because it just says, well, you're holding it as US dollars. And yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay, now we've got power. Got battery issues? Bon, you need an accountant's advice. Accountants, how I love to hate them. The trouble with accountants is that when it comes to this sort of business, they fundamentally don't know much. They're used to things like carpenters, sole traders that work, yeah, that sort of thing. But when you start doing this kind of international back-forth stuff, all of a sudden accountants tend to actually cost you more money than just going to the tax department and saying, hey, look, my MacBook just just saw that. See, it shut down. Yeah, Barry, well, now it's come back up on its own. It's like spontaneously resetting. I wonder if we've got a bad keyboard. Why all the rich Americans have accounts in the Cayman Islands. Yeah, so basically PayPal is kind of like my Cayman Islands in a way. At least so far as holding US dollars. Here, eBay is trying to drop PayPal as receiving. Oh, seriously? After they spent all that time buying PayPal and then forcing everybody to use PayPal, why would they do that? I guess they want to do their own payment system now. They're going to cut paste the PayPal code, do their own, and say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, I can't press the keyboard. I'm more curious to see whether this will persist. No, it can't be keyboard. It just shut down on its own right then. And the keyboard's disconnected. Alrighty. Not sure I can blame the RAM. The RAM would typically exhibit different kind of symptoms. Piece of the battery plastic. Okay, let's just keep disconnecting things until it stops doing that ludicrous display. Trackpad? Well, we'll try that next, Barry. Like I said, we're just going to go through and isolate bit by bit. But yeah, these machines are becoming more a pain in the butt than they are a money maker now. Bad RAM does what it wants. Yeah. So we're just going to keep going until it stops doing this delightful behavior. Remember to include the U when you say behavior, like honor. That's why the Americans are so messed up, because there's no U in honor. So they're like, we don't have to care about honor. That doesn't imply anything about us. Well, that didn't even last 10 seconds. Getting worse. Bad RAM, yeah, maybe. Okay. We're now down to, what have we got? LED backlight. For our keyboard backlight. Microphone. Oh wait, no, that's a battery sensor. Could be battery sensor. Sometimes they have caught me out. But we are running kind of low though. Keep going till there's one resistor left sitting there, yeah. It's not even getting to the bong point. It's getting worse. Getting worse. Maybe it's like one of those things in life where they go hotter, hotter, colder, 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 hotter. Yeah. Okay, one stick of RAM. Since it's still doing it with everything else, I'm going to plug in everything else. Actually, except the hard drive. We don't really want that in. Camera is a possibility, actually. Found that the other day. Hey, Azio. I just went blink and off. It's almost like it's getting worse every time I touch the board. As in, if it's physically something's getting dislodged bit by bit. But yeah, definitely a real problem with these older machines now is the fatigue aspect. Hey, Catherine. Donald G had a 315 but not start without charger. Reflow ISL SMC. That's interesting. Yeah, certainly the ISL would be a primary culprit, or the diode, the feed-in diode. So look at that. Now it's not even going to try. Oh yeah, blinked. Time to upgrade to a Chromebook. Right, we've just got camera. It's charging, just not turning on. Oh, okay. No, no camera. Okay, we've essentially eliminated everything at this point, bar the screen. It could be a bad MagSafe. Somewhat disinclined to believe that. I think it's time to take it out. Yeah, horrible spinny disc. We don't talk about that. It'd be interesting to see if it does it when it's out of the chassis. Okay, T6. T5. T6. Let's get the T6 spinner running. Hey, fix it. How's it going? I had an interesting email, I think it was yesterday or maybe earlier today, I can't remember, I think it was yesterday, from a repair center that specializes in radio communications equipment. And it was interesting that they wanted to look at Flex Board View and see if they could get board views integrated with their repair system. And it was interesting that in their industry, getting board views, schematics, diagnostic data, all that sort of stuff, it's just normal. It's like the company itself produces this glorious PDF file that contains all the information you would need, including top and bottom PCB layout, trace flows, all that sort of stuff. The only downside is, unfortunately, it is all in PDF, which means that it can't be used as a normal board view. The schematic portion obviously can be used as a schematic. So I've advised them, said, look, what you're going to have to do is ask the manufacturer if they can export the design files to something that is actually a board view file, of which there's multiple different ones that Flex Board View supports. And once they've got that, then they can take their service PDF file and merge it with the, well, I don't mean merge, but use it with the board view, and then they'll be able to service things that much quicker. So hopefully the company in question, in this particular instance, will do that, generate a board view file. And I've said to them, obviously, they don't need to have any of the internal data or the inner traces or anything like that. We just need the top and bottom placement of parts and pins and net names, and that's it. So they're not really giving away any of their trade secrets, as it were, at least not many of them. Okay, I've got a... what's going on outside here? just see the torch running around outside. I had to make sure my wife was okay, because often when there's a torch flashing around outside at night, it means something's going on with the kitty cats. In this case, it was not the situation. What are the symptoms of this? Getting progressively less likely to boot. Oh, Greg, yeah, I saw that, the OnePlus seizure. That was pretty funny. It'd be interesting if there's enough blowback on that to cause a change in policy, but somehow I doubt it. Sometime I just suspect it's going to be a bit of a hush-hush, fix up, and then move on. And go back to being equally zealous in opening up packages and seizing everything. $25. Sometimes that's just because of the MagSafe. Alright, so it is still doing it straight away. Hey, Tony W. Interesting that it tries to come back up. So it comes up, shuts down, comes up, shuts down. We'll check that thermal pin. Oh, sorry folks, I just realised there we go. Hey Christian. So let's see if I can remember which one was which on the thermals here. It could be just that I didn't do the thermal pin well enough. It's entirely possible. There was probably some border agent who was really hoping that he would score a great big find and get a promotion, but I say he got himself fired at this point, if nothing else. Okay, 346, holding steady. What about you? To be honest, I don't remember what this pin was for. You have to bring up the board view. Oh yeah, so getting back to the original topic I was talking about, so there's these companies that will produce this data quite happily, and it's not to the detriment of their sales. If anything, actually, it's a bonus to their sales, because they know that their users, which are ham operators, things like that, if they don't have access to that, they're just going to drop the gear and go to a different brand. Yeah, so I'm hoping that will work out, and I'm hoping that the company will consider producing stuff, and I think there's a dud pin there, producing the board views, because to be honest, from a purely capitalistic perspective, I want more markets to push flex board view into, and that's fundamentally what it comes down to for me. Hey Warren. So these joints don't look great, but now that I'm down at it, well, they're certainly not great, so I'm going to run some solder over them and see how they go. But yeah, because I figure sooner or later the MacBook repair market is going to start drying up, if it isn't already. I think we might have reached peak gold rush days, and it's downhill from here. Not to say that it's going to just vanish overnight, but I have to look from a software perspective at where else can I flog my gear to. Are you a piece of solder, or are you nope, you're a staple. Significantly different and substantially harder to solder. Looks like I need a new strip. It's also one of the big reasons why I did make sure that flex board view, and open board view for that matter, well, not that I was, anyway, why I made it a more generic type platform, as opposed to you get the likes of ZXW, Easy Draw, and things like that, and they're a little more, because they're focused on phones and they come supplied with phone files. Outside of the realm of phones, they're not going to find a lot of traction in the short term. What they will have to do at some point is go, okay, we need to be able to let people more readily import files, and I know they already can with certain formats, but the thing they're going to run into is that their users are not used to that. So the users are going to be like, I can't find this ICOM 3CXS transceiver on here, so this obviously doesn't have it. Whereas with Flexboard View I can go, well, you know, it's like a CAD reader or a word processor. You got to supply the files, but as soon as you do, then the software works. Hey Adam. Yeah, I'm just trying to talk up myself, convince myself that I'm taking the right strategy with my software. Okay, there's a bit of corrosion under there that I hadn't looked for, so that was my bad. Wow, that's actually really bad. Look at that. That's just coming straight off. That's scary. The red fiber's driving you nuts. A bit like the red room. Good thing it's gone now, eh? Thank you, Andrew. It could be old, but I think what's happened is there was something corrosive there, because we did originally replace this due to corrosive issues. And yeah, I might just scratch back a bit. And Pedro does the right red room statement. So yeah, I suppose you could say with Flexboard View and OpenBoard View, I'm playing the long game with them. Mr. Hook, I see you've been there. Found my message. Oh, okay, alright. Well, welcome, Jim. Thanks for joining. Impressed that you've been working at the station again. You guys hopefully will have a quiet season up ahead, but I have a feeling that you probably won't. I think Australia is going to see quiet fire seasons for a long time. Hey Steve. Yeah, why am I adding more flux? I'm not sure. Brain fade. I do need to write a piece of software to control the cameras better. That'll be for another day. Always for another day. Okay, schematic. So we're looking at, okay, pin 1's there, top left. Hey, Soda Bridge. Yeah, I know, I've been bad. I'm gonna replace this. It's obviously, if the tracks were melting away like that, then I can't imagine it's gonna be in good health either. I just have to find myself a 3115, of course. Oh, sweet Bridget. Adam, yes, we do have controlled burns here in Australia. We've done that for a little while. There was a bit of pushback against it, but I think after last season, then there's been a greater sort of bipartisan acceptance of the need for it. I mean, when I say need, it's more a case of need in terms of maintaining a more predictable annual fire season, as opposed to nature needs it, because nature will just do what nature does. Regardless, there's no winners and there's no favourites. There's just survivors and victims. That did not go down right. That's better. Oh, e-reels. I don't know whether you're trolling with a question like that. Come on. Oh, and shout out and congratulations to Dave Jones. Dave Jones, of course, as you know, from EEV blog, clocked up 750,000 subscribers after 11 and a half years. It's not bad going. Not bad going for a big knife, mouth opening, tech talking Aussie. We'll probably have to make a movie about him now. We'll send him to New York to go meet Louis Rossman. And he can enthrall them with his pronunciation of "G'day, mate." Because Dave certainly has the accent for entertaining a lot of Americans. Hey, Joe Cartwright. Ozone, to be fair, the ozone hole is getting much better. We were certainly in line to be subjected to some pretty bad effects of the ozone layer hole. But thankfully that was one of the few times that the world did come together and sort itself out and actually, do something to fix it. There was a consensus, there was a solution or a proposal, it was done, and here we are, 30 years later, and we've got it back under control. I don't think you're going to have that happen very often in life. I think we may have fixed it, I don't know. I guess we'll just put it back together and test it. E-reels, seriously, for board views and schematics, just Google for the board that you're looking for and bad caps, and you will find everything. And that is pretty much the only piece of advice that you'll sort of get, and everything else has to be Googled. And I suppose the first Google should be, how do I find board views and schematics? Maybe I should actually have a web page that actually answers that specifically, so Google can keep it in its memory. And when people ask, Google will race to my website and go, here you go, this is how. Quite frankly, some more popular websites should be doing that, not mine. But if they're not going to do it, I'll do it. I'll take all their fame and money. Okay, what am I doing? Anyone in the audience know what I'm doing? Oh, my wife's here. Hello, Alita. What you doing, sweetie? All the kitty cats okay? Okay, why are you not sitting down properly? Yeah, because this wire for the MagSafe gets jammed on the post here. I've had a few machines where the board has come in and they've put the screw in where that post is, and obviously because the board would be a little bit bouncy when they put it down, instead of finding out why it's bouncy, they just torque the screw down further. And of course that chews up the MagSafe cable and or the microphone cable, and then they go, why is it not working properly? So maybe because you didn't stop, drop and roll. Yeah, that was a bit of a random statement. As you can tell, I'm not 100% with it right now. And that's not because of drugs or anything like that. It's just because of, well, lack of sleep and many other things on my mind. You're always on my mind. Damn it, Alita, get out of my head. I've got work to do. Pernov, how's it going? Haven't seen you for a while. Pernov, did you have anyone try your open board view background adaptation yet? You know, if that gets really popular, I'm going to have to steal it. You understand that, of course. To be fair, it's more just the idea. I won't actually steal your code. I'm not that. What do you call it? I can't think of the word I want to say. It'll inevitably have to be coded differently because the systems have changed so much since the original split. I am kind of curious as to the library systems you use, because I noticed that you didn't end up using SDL image, whereas I've used SDL image for my software. And I noticed you made mention of the fact that it's due to simplified loading or something with the file system. A lot of those things that you've used to make the process a bit easier overall, I probably won't be using. But it is always interesting to see what you've done, just simply, you know, your different perspective, different experiences. SDL2 is an image is a nightmare of dynamic library loading. Ah, okay, so that's probably why I haven't run into that issue yet, because I've only been using it on Linux. Battery. STB image has everything built in for most common image formats. Good enough. Okay. What's the license on it? Well, I guess it must be MRT compatible at least, given that you put it into open board view. Yes, we need to get our stray kitties fixed up. The problem is we need a post-op room. With the boys, it's not a big problem. Yeah, you hold the boys for 24 hours and you can let them go, and they usually are pretty good. You just monitor them when they come back each day. With the girls, you can't do that. It's pretty much a death sentence otherwise. You really need to keep them in a post-op room for at least a week until they've recovered, and you can keep a better eye on them. And we just don't have a post-op room. By a post-op room, I mean like even just like a 3x3 room that's got a reasonable amount of temperature control. It's clean. There's nothing for them to jump up on. Just a very bare room. And that gives them the best chance of recovery, and without driving them insane. Because if you keep them in a little tiny cage, they go mad. Mad. Okay, did that just fail on me? Or did I just switch it off by pressing the button? Yeah, I think I did. It certainly seems to be more stable, so I think that might have been it. It might have been corrosion under that particular chip, which was part of the temperature sense logic. That was a Q5480. Oh no, that's P-bus voltage sense and enable, VPOR. Okay, my bad. No, same area though. Barry, the other thing we have to do is it has to be an outside type thing, so we really do need weatherproof. The ideal thing would be to get one of those portable office buildings. Office buildings, they're usually around about, well, 2.4 by 2.4 is a typical size of them. If I could pick one of those up for 3,000 or something, then I'd do it in a flash. But the only thing is I really want air conditioning on it. And if we can then just put it into the yard for the moment, and that would work very well as a post-op room. So yeah, if I could find a 2.4 by 2.4 for about $3,000 in pretty good condition, I could even get an air conditioner somewhere for like $200-300, and yeah, that would do the trick nicely. This is definitely working much better now. So our problem was with, let's see, schematic. Our problem was with this Q5480 P-bus voltage sensor and enable. And so what was obviously happening is one of the pins was a bit dodgy and it sort of kept coming in and out. And that was caused by liquid corrosion or something going on over here, which is what originally took out Q5058, which is the temperature sense chip. Well, not sense, but this here transistor, the thermal trip. So yeah, they aren't logically related, but they are physically related. So that was that. Is this Barry West? What are you saying? Build a shed 3.3 Aquaply. Yeah, I'd probably prefer to get a pre-built building. Like I said, I'm happy to pay the money. The nice thing about the pre-built is that it's well insulated, because where it will be situated, there will be a lot of sun baking down on the side of it, so yeah, it's not going to be nice. It needs to be properly done walls, you know, about 4-inch thick walls with insulation and everything like that. The nice thing is I can then use it. Once we've got one, we can then solve a lot of problems. Let's see if I can actually find one on the internet while we wait for, let's see, new window. It's the sort of thing that I would use multiple times in the future, so it'd be better investment for me to do it right once and have it portable and things like that. Hey, Mr. Lemon. Let's see, 2.4 by 2.4 portable office building. What's a good HFS data recovery to run? Use DD Rescue to clone it entirely, whatever the device is, and then Paragon produce a nice HFS driver, or just plug it into macOS. I find macOS does a good job of recovering a lot of the stuff. So 4. It's got IO errors. Yeah, you can still DD rescue it, but it can take a little bit of trickery to do it. Depends on the nature of the IO faults, how they're showing up, you know, when and how. Holy crikey, blimey, this stuff is expensive. We should find a second-hand one, would be a lot better. Steve K, how do you mean by that? Yeah, okay, yeah, you're looking for miracle software there, I think. Deep and extensive artificial intelligence. Far beyond what I'm capable of coding. Alrighty. I mean, things like this is pretty much what I'm looking at. 3.6 by 2.5. Let's turn the sound off. This is definitely behaving properly now. 8,500. Whoa, 110,000. What the heck? 11,000. Man, I'd want to live in this myself. Warren, no, still working on it, and yeah, my bad. I need to get my act together. That's what I've been sort of whining, complaining about lately. I just haven't been getting my act together. And I'm certainly disappointed in myself. Okay, so if I had the money to spend, this is exactly the sort of thing I would buy. So a liter, something like this down the wedge, and it would be a good vet slash whatever. Well, it would be a good room. Hey, Vladimir. I have checked out shipping containers, and they are certainly cheap, but the problem is that they require a lot of fab work to get them up to spec for what I'm looking for. 315, 315. So this is basically 2.4 interior. None of these are local, of course. But you get the idea of what I'm thinking. This actually, I've got to admit, is bigger than what I'd need. So maybe even 2x2. You gotta remember this Australian dollars too. These little wooden things are no good. As soon as the first cyclone comes along, boom, we're gone. Yeah. Okay, what the heck? That could technically work, but it's a little bit small, and if you try to swing in, yeah, I think actually probably that's a bit too small. This is definitely sort of more what I'm thinking. So what you would end up with is, let's see, go this. Where's the front door, buddy? No front door. Anyway, the idea is you'd have enough swing room for the door, so that's like 800, maybe 750, and then you'd have the wall in front of you that then separates between the outside and then where the patient kitty cat is on the inside. So you can walk in there safely, close the door, open up the internal door, vet goes in or whatever. Yeah, the things you can spend your money on. And like I said, I've got no problem spending the money if I can just find something that does the job. It could be cheaper. It's certainly, but the thing is, time's my other limitation. The other problem is, see, like if you look at these, the interiors, you know, it's just single skin wall. There's no insulation or anything like that. That'll be brutal for. You do not want to be putting an animal in there that's in post-op. So effectively, you then would have to add the insulation, and by the end of it, yeah, it's going to cost you a little more. But I would prefer a, turnkey solution, as it were. Barry, thank you very much. Suggest server and solar power panel. Suggest server and solar panel. You're saying put solar panels on it? I mean, I certainly would do that. Yeah. It's not going to be for a clean room, unless you consider a kitty cat clean room. This would be awesome. That would be a really nice type thing. Yeah, a man can dream. What are the average nighttime temperatures? During the winter, between, let's say, 8, and then around about this time of the year, we're pushing up to 20. During summer, high 20s, yeah, about 28 at night sometimes. It gets pretty damn hot. A cool room, yeah, a cool room walk-in fridge, that would work, Martin. Yep, that's actually really good, especially if you can find one that's already kind of like dead, decommissioned, and then you can just cut a air conditioner into it. Let's see, cool room. Second hand cool room. Nice thing is most of them are stainless steel interiors. So I mean that's getting about where I'm looking at. I know there's been a few local ones. How big is that? Looks a little small. Build a TARDIS? Yeah. Nick, yeah, we definitely will need. We definitely here need active cooling. We can get away without heating, but cooling you absolutely want to have. Even with insulation, you need your cooling. This looks like a. Yeah. Ooh, cool room kits. $4,200. 1160. It's a little bit small, that one. Yeah. Anyway, so that gives you an idea of what I'm trying to do. Best place to buy flux if you're in the States or something, Rossmann, I guess. I've started bringing in flux by larger quantities myself into Australia, mostly just so that I can get it, and then if I've got excess, which I always have excess, I sell it off to other people at cost price. Rustlin, let's see, I made a custom thing for myself, 2627, okay, yeah. Like I say, if I had more time and the appropriate tooling, I probably would. And if it was capable of withstanding cyclonic forces, then yeah. Andrew, yeah, metal cargo container, again, by the time you kit that out, it's, and you have to have very good active cooling on those things, because those metal bodies, they just really suck up the heat in summer here. What you would have to do with a lot of those containers is you have to actually put an additional roof over the top. Probably gapped about 300 mil or even 200 mil above the roof of it, with sufficiently large eaves so that you keep the sun off it. You really want to keep the sun off anything after 10 o'clock in the morning through to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You want to keep it into shade. So you're about 200 mil off from the top, and you get a bit of a breeze through there. That helps, but again, by the time you've done all that stuff, find a dead cool room for cheaper. Yeah, Barry, they're very hot. Yeah, backyard pods. Catherine, I think I have looked at those. The problem with them is that they're not allowed to be sold up here. $4,000 for a backyard pod. Yeah, I think the problem up is that they can't be sold in our area due to the fact that we have cyclonic rating requirements. So optional extras, they sometimes have cyclone rating fittings. No. There are a lot of really nice things that you can buy down South Brisbane onwards that you just cannot get up here, not legally, because of the cyclone rating requirements. It's really frustrating. What if to build an additional room? Not really. I mean, look, to be honest, if we actually own the house and it was just us in here, we could do something. We've got plenty of rooms to do something with. But in the situation we're facing in the very short term, that's not possible. And also, we do kind of want to get a greater separation between the rescues, I want to say refurb, but what is the word I'm looking for? Foster. The rescue, the foster, the strays. We want to get a physical separation between them and our own cats for the health of our own, of course, and the stress and things like that. So ideally, we don't want to actually bring them into our house at all. Hire, digger, and borrow. Yeah, around here, unfortunately, that doesn't work so well. In the fact that when we do get some really good rain, this whole area turns into like this slurry of mud that you can't escape from. It's only happened once in the last 10 years or so, but it's quite frightening. So ideally, yeah, I just want something that I can just get a mini crane to drop into the yard, and that's pretty much it. Port shipping containers. I'm just having a look at this. Yeah, with the containers, you're probably looking at another 3,000 on top to actually make it survive our summer without cooking whatever's inside of it. Alright. Okay, well, I think it's time for me to scoot. Yeah, it's past midnight. I've got to scoot, but thanks for sticking around and I'm sorry it's been a while, but unfortunately there are certain priorities that one has to attend to in life. And hopefully I'll whip myself sufficiently that I'll actually do my taxes properly soon. As I said, I've got the money, the data's there. I've got to just finish putting it in and making sure I've ticked off all the boxes that I need to tick off so the tax department doesn't come back and say, hey, yeah, you're a bit dodgy here, buddy. And yeah, and hopefully I can do more streaming properly. But looks like we fixed this one up, so hey, yeah, that's another job fixed for me, thank goodness. And hopefully this one won't bounce in a few days. So it's going to have to go back in the testing queue. And if it gets out of that, then I can ship it back to the person and invoice them. So in the meantime, you all take care. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time. And take care.